Okay. Right. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me share my screen quickly. Oh. Okay. Canto 9, chapter 18, verse 45, 46, 47, and 49. So verse 45. Shukadeva Goswami said, in this way, O Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit is the person who is here in the Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami, the narrator. The son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father, Yayati, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. Yes, so a little bit of the backstory. Somehow or other, this person, Maharaj Yayati, the king, he lost his youth due to a curse. And then he asked his sons to exchange, to switch their youth with them. He would give them his old age and invalidity, and they would give him their youth so that he could enjoy the material world as required, as he required. And so he had this son, the youngest son, the pet child, named Puru, who accepted the offer. And not only accepted, but gladly accepted, happily accepted the offer. So this is where we are. Text 46, translation. Thereafter, King Yayati became the ruler of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and ruled the citizens exactly like a father. Because he had taken the youth of his son, his senses were unimpaired, and he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired. That sounds like a fairy tale. But the ending of this fairy tale is very transcendental. It's a good ending. It's taken us to Krishna. Let's keep on reading. Text 47. In secluded places, engaging her mind, words, body, and various paraphernalia, Devayani, the dear wife of Maharaj Yayati, the king, who regained his youth, always brought her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. Transcendental bliss, not mundane bliss. Okay. Kikoji, good morning. We're going to make you a co-host so you can admit people in case I missed that. Okay. Text 48. King Yayati performed various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord, Hari, who is the reservoir of all the demigods and the object of all Vedic knowledge. And text 49, we're going to do the Sanskrit because it has purport, and this is the final verse for today. Yasminidam virachitam vyomniva jaladva lihi naneva bhati nabhati svapnamaya manorataha. Word for word by Srila Prabhupada. Yasmin, in whom, idam, this entire cosmic manifestation, virachitam, created, vyomni, in the sky, eva, just like, jalada avalihi, clouds, nana eva, as if in different varieties. Bhati is manifested, na-abhati is unmanifested. That's the truth about our world. It's manifested and it's unmanifested. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for translating it so nicely. Svapnamaya, illusion like a dream. Svapnamaya, that's the word Srila Prabhupada is going to focus on in his purport. Illusion like a dream. That's another feature of our world. It's a dream. Manaharataha, created to be traversed by the chariot of the mind. How wonderful. Translation. The Supreme Lord Vasudeva, who created the cosmic manifestation, exhibits himself as all-pervading, like the sky that holds clouds. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and varieties are no longer manifested. Purport. As stated by Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 19, Bahunam janmanamante, gyanavan mam prapadyate, vasudeva sarvamiti, samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So many takeaways from this verse, but we'll get to that. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is one with the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth. Everything is in him, and in the beginning and at the end of all, and in the beginning and in the end, all manifestations enter into him. He is situated in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham, Ridi Sanvistaha. And from him, everything has emanated. Janmadi Ashayataha. All material manifestations, however, are temporary. All material manifestations, however, are temporary. The word svapna means dreams, maya means illusion, and manoratha means mental creations. So this world is dreams, illusions, and mental creations. Dreams, illusions, and mental creations are temporary. Similarly, all material creation is temporary, but Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the eternal absolute truth. Hare Krishna. Okay. I was born, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to do the Sanskrit first. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yenai Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him again and again and again. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. So let's go over the verses again quickly, and let's talk about some principles that are being described there. So in this way, text 45 says, the son named Puru was pleased to accept the old age of his father, Yayati, who took the youth of his son and enjoyed this material world as he required. So what stands out to me in this translation by Srila Prabhupada is that the son named Puru was very pleased to accept the old age of his father. In other words, a devotee is very pleased to accept something that may appear difficult or unpleasant, knowing that by following this dharma, this ultimate dharma of surrendering to Krishna and seeing everything as coming from Krishna for our upliftment and purification and for our eternal benefit, a devotee is joyful. We're not just, holding this big grudge against God and accepting the curses that are coming our way. We're happy by accepting this. And why are we happy? Because we understand that this thing, this invalidity, we all are going to go through this old age and invalidity and death. And we go through death every day. We lose something every day. So that's also like miniature death, miniature invalidity, miniature old age. We have this every day. I have my tooth kind of, about to be taken out. So that's a sign that I'm not here to stay. It's all temporary. It's a miniature death. So, but as a devotee, we have an opportunity, we have an option of being joyful. We can be very pleased, like Puru, like this faithful son. We can be faithful sons of Krishna and accept something that may appear a curse of this material world as a means, as an opportunity to surrender, to engage this situation in Krishna, in the service of the Guru and the Vaishnavas and Krishna. So Vaisheshika Prabhu makes this analogy how we are all sons and daughters and children of God who has this huge inheritance that is waiting for us. And we just have to do one thing to acquire that inheritance. What is it? That's my question to you, dear audience. What is it, according to Vaisheshika Prabhu's analogy, that we have to do? That's the only thing a devotee has to do to inherit what's meant for him. Kiko, wanna try? There's no wrong answer.
To approach Krishna with loving devotion and show a sincere heart.
How can I say wrong to that? Yeah, that's true, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. It's kind of
how about all you have to do is just want it?
Yes, but that's on the X.
Not what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's also the right answer, but not the one I'm looking for. It's a very simple thing. It's kind of obvious. What do you have to do to inherit something?
Oh, just remain alive in Krishna consciousness.
Remain alive, yes. Great. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need to sign anything. Just stay alive in Krishna consciousness. Just stay alive. Keep your japa going. Just stick around, Emily says. Yes, exactly. Just stick around. And sticking around for a devotee, it means 16 rounds every day, Srimad Bhagavatam every day, attending the class every day. I see that everybody's doing it. I wonder if I saw Bhima Prabhu checking in, but maybe his horses took him away. I was hoping to have a horse in audience today because there are souls. There's no impediment. Even a horse can attend class. So I found that very encouraging because sometimes we feel a little lazy Staying alive, haha. Yeah, it's very simple. Sticking around. And the verse, does anybody know the verse that Vaisheshika Prabhu quotes in this regard? Staying alive verse? Staying alive verse?
Is it, I'm thinking, is it 10:14:8?
Yes. Give me the first line.
Huh?
Give me the first line. Everybody knows.
I can't.
You can't. How come you know the number and don't know the first line? It's Tate nukampam su samik shamano. I have it in front of me. I'm cheating, but I know the first line. I know. So Tate nukampam su samik shamano. That's the first line of the Staying Alive verse by Sheshika Prabhu quotes. And the verse goes, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits, one who sticks around, Emily, for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering, everybody, the reactions of his past misdeeds. So we all have misdeeds that we have to suffer for. Raghunath Prabhu says, we all have some karma to burn. So while sticking around and having our karma burned, patiently suffering the reactions. Patiently suffering means being happy and joyful in a difficult situation, knowing that it's coming from Krishna. So patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, not pointing fingers, not blaming others, not blaming, I don't know, the governor or, I don't know, whatever everybody's blaming. Not blaming that, the opposite party, the opposite gender or something. Okay, not blaming Dr. Fauci. So patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances. Offering the Lord respectful obeisances means keep our service going. Attending the class, chanting japa, serving the devotees, serving the guru, reading the books, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body. We meant to engage our heart, which means the mind. It's interchangeable in the context of bhakti. Heart, words, what we vibrate, the words that we speak. I remember I read a story. It was like a story that has a meaning, and it was supposed to teach you something, like a teenage story. And in that story, there was a teenager, a guy, and he was cursing. And his younger sister, who was a kid, and kids are innocent, they don't curse. They have morality and everything while they're still kids. So, and his younger sister, she wanted to do something about his cursing. And then she took a dictaphone and recorded him. He was with his friends, hanging out, trying to impress everybody, cursing. And she secretly recorded him. And then she played the recording to him. And, that changed his heart. He heard how terrible he sounded, how ridiculous this whole thing was, and it changed his heart. So we should be careful about what we speak. Okay. Akiko, I'm going to secretly record everything you speak and then I'll play it to you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So words and body. We're meant to offer respectful obeisances with our body. So we have to keep our body clean. It's a temple. It's a vehicle by which we're serving Krishna. So let's not neglect that. We need our body. Let's not neglect our cleanliness, our health. That has to be taken care of properly. We have to apply our intelligence. Srila Prabhupada said, use your intelligence. Don't become a Haribol person. Haribol is a very high principle. before we get to this Haribol stage where everything is Haribol, we have to do the needful. We have to keep the body and soul together. And where Krishna consciousness is not about discarding your family, discarding your own body, neglecting your social status, neglecting your economic relationship and everything. It's meant to engage that in devotional service. We're only meant to discard the bad stuff, gross stuff. Jayadvaita Swami was once stopped by, or challenged, I think it was by a police officer or something, or by some rough person, and this person challenged Jayadvaita Maharaj, saying, "So why you're claiming to be a monk? So what is it that you're supposed to renounce?" And Jayadvaita Maharaj looked at him and said, "The only thing you're supposed to renounce is suffering. Suffering. I renounce suffering." So in Krishna consciousness, let's not prematurely renounce anything. Just renounce suffering, meat eating, intoxication, gambling. What's the illicit, degrading sexual relationship? Let's start there, and then suffering will be renounced in that way. Don't jump into renouncing something that is not yours in the first place, but something that will kind of later on, if being suppressed or prematurely renounced, there's tendencies and desires that will play out in an ugly way, in an ugly form. So we need our body to use it in offering obeisances to the Lord. So, and then the person who does that, who's patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering Krishna respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation. Liberation for a devotee means devotional service, the bliss of devotional service, bhakti, love of God. For it becomes his rightful claim. So this is our claim. Our rightful claim is Krishna consciousness, devotional service, joy of devotional service. That's the only claim we can make in this world. Okay, so we talked about that. Let me go back to the verse. So Puru joyfully accepted this invalidity and old age from his father. Meanwhile, his father, King Yayati, became the ruler of the entire world, consisting of 7 islands, and ruled the citizens exactly like a father. His senses were unimpaired, and he enjoyed as much material happiness as he desired. Now, there's no purport to this verse. It'll be explained later in the chapter where this all leads, where it takes one. Enjoyment, as much happiness as our senses desire. So where that takes you, that will be described later. But in this particular verse, what I found interesting is that the king was ruling like a father. And as devotees, as bhakti practitioners, we all have our domain, our kingdom, where we're the king. It's either family or circle of friends, where people look up to us or associate with us, spend time with us. So that's our kingdom. And we should rule this kingdom exactly like a father. A father means someone who is guiding. It's like not a superior, but it's a responsible position. It's a position of responsibility where one bears responsibility. And to bear responsibility means to accept responsibility even when it's not our fault. That's responsibility. When you take the blame, understanding that it may not be my fault, But I'm not going into pointing fingers. I'm accepting it. I'm taking responsibility and I'm trying to do something about it. That's what responsibility is. So we should rule our little kingdom, every one of us, like a father, treating people with love. Father corrects and chastises the child in a loving way. Does anybody know how Srila Prabhupada's father chastised him, what he did? Does anybody know? It's in Lilamrita. Adipurusha Prabhu, do you know how Srila Prabhupada's father, what he said? Unmute yourself, Adipurusha Prabhu.
Oh, just tell us. You tell us.
Okay, I tell you. He was asking Srila Prabhupada's permission to chastise him, and he was explaining to Srila Prabhupada, I'm sorry, my son, I have to correct you. It's my responsibility as your father. I have to yell at you. I have to chastise you. But he would always,
Because I love you.
yeah, because I love you. He always asked permission, Abhai's permission to chastise him. So that's, if you want to yell at somebody, you have to ask their permission. And Adipurusha Prabhu always says, do it in a theatrical way. Don't get overpowered by anger. Just use anger in Krishna's service. Make big eyes, raise your voice, but do it in a loving way, jokingly. So Srila Prabhupada's father did that, and that's his eternal credit. Srila Prabhupada was raised as an acharya, as a future acharya. You can't yell at acharya. You have to ask permission. That's how you raise a person who can take responsibility. You can't just suppress and humiliate the person thinking that that's for his benefit. I'm going to crack down on them, put them in their place. So we should rule our little kingdom like a father. So the next verse about the queen. The queen was given her husband the greatest possible transcendental bliss. So that's what marriage is for. That's what partnership is for giving each other transcendental bliss. And I remember one time I was complaining about my good wife to Adipurusha Prabhu. I know I'm going to hell for that, but I was upset. I can't even remember what I was upset about. This is how ridiculous my mind is. This is such a small thing. And I was upset, and I called Adipurusha Prabhu and I told him, you know what, Chinmay Radha, she did that and this, and in the Shastra it says this and that, and the husband is supposed to lead and the wife is supposed to assist the husband in his very high Krishna consciousness duty, and she doesn't seem to be following this exactly as I expect her to, and she's trying to correct me. And Adipurusha Prabhu said, well, if what she said is in line with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then you should take it. It's coming from your wife, who is supposed to be your assistant. If she is right, if she's speaking the truth, you should accept it. If Gaurangi, your daughter, is speaking the truth, you should accept it. If a fool is speaking the truth, Chanakya Pandit says one should accept truth even from a fool. One should, what's the other one? Accept the truth from a fool.
Gold from a dirty place, a good wife from a bad family.
Yeah, good wife from a bad family. Yeah. So that's what marriage is for. Marriage is for giving each other transcendental bliss, or friendship for the same. It's meant for the same purpose. Whoever you're dealing with, you're meant to give them transcendental bliss. Somebody's talking. Is that a contribution to class? Okay, it was an occasional voice crack. Okay. So, and then the king, what was the king doing with the youth that was so painfully regained by him? What was he doing with it? He was engaged he was enjoying it, enjoying his senses. And at the same time, he was performing various sacrifices in which he offered abundant gifts to the Brahmanas to satisfy the Supreme Lord, Hari. Sarva Vedam Mayam Hari, satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the reservoir of all the demigods and the object of all Vedic knowledge. In those days, they were worshiping demigods, and in this verse, it's underlined that demigods must be worshipped in relationship to Krishna as servants of Krishna. That's how we should treat our authorities in our life, as servants of Krishna. And and then Shukadev Goswami explains to Maharaj Parikshit, the Supreme Lord Vasudev, who created the cosmic manifestation, is all pervading, like the sky that holds clouds. And when the creation is annihilated, everything enters into the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, and varieties are no longer manifested. So this means that our life may seem so real, so dynamic, but we should understand that in the end, we're meant to bring whatever circumstances we may find ourselves in, we're meant to bring it to Krishna every single time. We don't have to wait for so many millennia. We don't have to wait for annihilation to enter into Krishna. We are meant to enter into Krishna every single moment. I'm going to quote Adipurusha Prabhu again. I asked him once, when there was this big standoff in 2016 between the two candidates for president, and I told him, so who are you voting for? And then he looked at me like I was a fool. He looked at me. I vote for Prabhupada. I vote every day. So let's not wait for the next election, midterms or next election. We don't have to wait for that. We are meant to bring everything back to Krishna. We're meant to enter into Krishna's realm every single time. With every breath, we're meant to bring it to Krishna. Okay, let me look at my notes. Maybe there's a point that I missed, and then I'll open the floor for questions. Okay, we should be pleased accepting the curse. We should happily accept something that may appear like a curse, understanding that Krishna is behind it. We should rule our little kingdom like a father, lovingly, and in accordance with the truth, the principle of truth. We should give everybody transcendental bliss. Transcendental bliss, not mundane bliss. And we should be engaged in service. That will help us remember Krishna. And when everything winds down, we will enter into Krishna's realm. And not only then, but every single time. Every time you experience something, tie that experience to Krishna. Train your mind in that way. And this will be your entering into Krishna's existence. Okay. After many births. Yeah, and in his purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse. Oh my God, I closed everything. In this verse, the verse goes, after many births and deaths, one who is intelligent surrenders unto me fully, and this soul is very rare. That's the verse that Srila Prabhupada quotes. And I was thinking that, what are those why after many births and deaths? Why do we have to go through this? Why does Yayati have to experience these pleasures of this world in order to surrender? Is that necessary? Apparently, according to this verse, after many births and deaths, we become discouraged and frustrated. So this is what birth and death is for, to understand that it's all temporary. It's all meant for, it's not meant for my pleasure, it's meant for my purification. It's meant for my understanding how temporary this is. And on the other side of this equation, that everything is temporary, everything is meaningless, useless, stands Krishna. There is something that is eternal. We're not arriving at the zero level. This is zero when everything is useless, everybody's stupid, people are wasting their life. On the other side of that equation, we have Krishna, who is eternal. We have devotional service, which is eternal, which gives pleasure. Okay, so that's all. I went through all my points. I didn't have much time for preparation, and this is the difference between a person like me and Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, this book, it says, a lifetime in preparation. Lifetime in preparation. So when we prepare for Srimad Bhagavatam class, I only took one night for preparation. Srila Prabhupada took his whole life to prepare. So as devotees, we're supposed to strive for that. Our entire life should be a preparation for Srimad Bhagavatam class. If I wake Akiko up in the middle of the night, she should be prepared to start glorifying Krishna and giving class right away, right off the bat. Our whole life is meant to prepare us to glorify Krishna at any given moment, in any circumstance. Okay, does anybody have a contribution to class?
Hare Krishna, Ananda-bihari. There we go. Thank you. I have to pop off as always, but I just want to say this, your last point is something I've been thinking about, the preparation for class. And it reminded me of, I was watching something on YouTube, and it was several speakers. And I, quite frankly, watched it because Radhanath Maharaj was going to be speaking, and they had 3 other speakers. And so I was doing that thing of like, I'll just listen to the other ones and wait until Radhanath Swami speaks, and then it'll get good. But this woman, and I have to find it back, she had this beautiful face, and it was for students, and they were asking her, this one student said, yes, I'm doing all these things, but when someone agitates me, like in that moment, what should I do? I've been studying this stuff, but in that moment, and I'll never forget this, she leaned into the camera and she said, in that moment, nothing. Because what she was saying is that exact point. In that moment, you can't. In that moment, you can only rely on everything that you've been studying and working on this whole time. That's what's going to come to the fore. In that moment, you're probably so angry. So like you were saying, like Prabhupada did, our whole life is the preparation for in that moment when someone cuts you off in your car, in that moment when someone's mean to you, in that moment to be able to speak, because in the moment, you won't be able to maybe, you know, just like at the time of death, we can't turn it like a switch. We have to have been preparing it. So what you said just made me think of it, because I just remember she just leaned and said, in that moment, nothing. And it was just like,
What
of course.
Powerful one-liner. I'm stealing it. It's so nice.
It was, I wish I remember her name. I need to go back and find that YouTube clip, but thank you so much for reminding me of her and reminding me of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful input. Yeah, we can be consuming junk throughout our lifetime and then all of a sudden start vibrating Srimad Bhagavatam perfectly upon request. That's not possible. The whole life is meant for preparation for class. I see Jamuna Jaya is prepared so nicely. Anybody else? Contribution?
You were mentioning how Srila Prabhupada was, his father was lovingly chastising him. So we have this guest program, you know, Adam and Vincent. Last night, I had to chastise them, you know.
Yeah.
And I came out of the office. I said, gentlemen, Prabhupada is showing us how to do this, you know. So he showed us how to do this.
Because people don't know the context. You have to tell the context. What's the setting of this?
There's no talking after 8:30. It's quiet, you know. They were talking, and
19 people resting, and you have 2 people talking.
yeah. So I came out and I just gestured to them to be quiet, and then they were talking again, and I came out and I said, gentlemen, we have to chastise you. You know, like you said, Prabhupada would ask permission. And they were like, not very happy to be corrected. And I said, I'm going to start with Adam. I said, Adam, we've told you this so many times now. So I'm going to have to beat you. Because we love you, because we don't want you to grow up to be a pickle, we want to help you to stay here, and not disturb anyone else, So he was there with it. I punched him on the back like 3 or 4 times. He's going, okay, I'm sorry, And then visited, can you too? Vince was also asking to be beaten. So there's love there, it's humorous, they were both laughing. So, it can be done in a lighthearted way and an affectionate way, but it has to be done. And then for the benefit of others and for the benefit of those who are corrected. So it's interesting that he was mentioning that idea of, anger has to be theatrical. It's not uncontrolled anger. It's wielded very carefully.
That's how Prabhupada was. He was angry, apparently angry at a disciple, and then the next moment he was again in bliss. That's how it's all.
Exhibiting anger.
He was using anger rather than being overwhelmed by anger.
Right. We have to go now. We're taking care of prasad distribution. Maybe somebody else has. Hare Krishna, Gaura Prabhupada. Wonderful class.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, along these same lines, when you were talking about this very subject, I was thinking about my experiences in classes where we have seen, or I have seen, what looks like, or what I experienced as like humiliation, I've heard, exalted gurus, be heavy in a way that, my goodness, just really pinched my heart for the person being spoken to, So, I guess there are certain experiences that I just can't really understand, but, it's not always that the chastisement comes in that gentle, oh, can I chastise you kind of way. Sometimes it comes in a way that, I certainly cannot understand, Anyway, just a comment.
Yeah, very nice comment. We can't judge. There are things that we can't comprehend, and we shouldn't be quick to judge. Nice. One time, my friend Ganeshan, he was driving. Oh, Isabel wanted to say something. Go ahead, Isabel.
So come back to your Ganesham story.
Isabel, go ahead. Hare Krishna. No? Okay. So let me go back to Ganesham's story. He was driving Radhanath Swami to the airport, and Radhanath Swami was supposed to get on the flight to a meeting with a very important person. It was the president at that time, Barack Obama. He was going to that meeting, and Ganesham was driving him to the airport, and it was very important. And they were cutting it really close, really, really tight. And then at that time, Ganesham considered himself a good driver, and he didn't use GPS. He's from New York. He knows the area. He used to have a job where he would drive around. So he was driving Radhanath Swami, and then at one point, they kind of got lost. They got lost on the way to the airport to get on the flight to get to the meeting with Barack Obama. And for meetings like that, you have to get there early. You have to go through the security and protocol and wait and all that. So it was very important. It was a very important opportunity for Radhanath Maharaj to meet the president. And they were getting lost on the way to the airport.
Oh my God, I'm dying 1,000 deaths already for
Imagine how Ganesham felt.
I cannot. I cannot.
And Radhanath Swami, is very gentle, but he can also be ferocious, very heavy. Guru means heavy. Guru doesn't mean people pleaser. Guru doesn't mean pleaser, satisfier. Guru means heavy. So your guru, imagine your guru is in the back seat, you're getting lost, there's no GPS. And Ganesham was thinking, I think that we should turn right. And Maharaj told him, okay, Ganesham, stop and ask the person. Stop the car, ask the person. Ganesham stops the car, ask the person. And the person says, you should take left here. And Ganesham was thinking, okay, I think I have to go right. This person says we have to go left. And then he decided to defer it to Maharaj. So he looks back at Maharaj and says, Maharaj, I think we should go right. And this person says that we should go left. Where should we go? So he kind of shifted, tried to shift responsibility upon his guru, thinking that I'm supposed to inquire from the guru, and the guru knows everything. And do you know what Maharaj said?
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to get the answer.
Maharaj didn't say go right or go left. He said, you better make the right choice.
Oh.
Your choice be right. Whether you make a left or right, better your choice be right. So,
My God.
Ganesham, I can't think whether it was left or right, but somehow or other, they took the right turn and they were driving, and the airport signs started to show up, and Maharaj was raising his voice, going, speed, speed. He was in the back seat, and Ganesham was speeding like anything, and they got there in time, and Maharaj got out of the car quickly and went right to the check-in counter, and he got on the flight in time and met Barack Obama in time. And that's what Ganesham's, story. Guru can be heavy. Guru can use anger, and you can't put your expectations upon the guru. You can't expect them to act in a certain way according to your understanding of what's nice and what's not nice, what's light and what's heavy. This is guru. If that's guru, then you should treat them as guru. They know what they're doing, in other words. You don't know. That's why you're a disciple. That was Ganesham's takeaway from that story. Okay, so
were you in that car at that time?
I was not.
Oh. Mhm.
But Ganesham is such a
Wow.
storyteller. I'm like nothing. No comparison to Ganesham.
You say he is what?
He's a wonderful storyteller.
Oh, okay.
So when you see him next time, ask him to tell you that story, how he drove Radhanath Swami to meet Barack Obama. Very powerful story. Okay, do we have any final contributions? Okay.
I just want to say, it was a great class considering you had a very short time of preparation. So thank you.
Thank you, Aki. Thank you so much. All right. Grantaraj, the king of books, Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Please don't.
Thank you so much for class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Do we know who's speaking tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Sutapa Prabhu,
Oh,
a
nice.
teacher from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sannyasa candidate.
Oh,
So
wow. Mm-hmm.
all right.